It's a good thing about you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Res. I'm here with my mom and my aunt and my grandmother, and they're gonna share a couple stories about Pagwajininis. We have all kinds of legends about these little people, and so my aunt, she used to live at an old haunted house on the 105, and she's got all kinds of stories about paranormal and little people, so I'm going to let her share a couple of her stories. So here she is.
Okay, hi, my name is Kathleen Kai. Everybody knows me as Katie. Anyways, back in the days when I think it was 1980, 81, 82, I moved in Michael Shabbat's old house on Kichimikan. It was just around that big corner there, that big old house. And I stayed there for maybe 2 years. And I had a lot of experiences in that house. I'll tell you, one night I was, we were lying, like our bedroom upstairs was an open concept, and we had, our bed was in the middle of the room, and then I had a little twin bed on my right side of our bed, and that's where my daughter Tammy would sleep, and she was only maybe 2 years old, 2 or 3 years old, and she was sleeping in her bed, and I was lying there, and you ever get the feeling like someone's staring at you? I just had that feeling someone was watching me, and I kind of turned my head towards my daughter's bed, and I looked at the foot of her bed. Was a little person was sitting at the foot of her bed, and I looked up and I seen my daughter sleeping on their pillows on the top of the bed, upper, and I looked at that little person, and everything happened so fast though, because it was kind of scary. And this little person was sitting on the bed with his knees folded upwards, and he was just sitting there looking at me, holding his hands. And this little person, he was very, very dark skinned, dark eyes, black hair, and it kind of reminded me of my nephew Wayne when he was a small little boy. And when I seen him looking at me, I was so scared. I just threw the blankets over my head and covered my head. And I stayed there without moving, without even breathing. I was holding my breath. And I laid there for about 5 minutes, and I had enough courage to pull the blankets off. And I looked. I seen my daughter sleeping on the pillow, and that little person was gone. So that was the one incident that I saw. And I believe that was a Pagwajinini. And that was one event. Another time, speaking about Pagwajininis, I was again at the old house, and I was there alone with my daughter because her father was working at Desert Lake at the camp, and he would be gone for maybe a week at a time. And I was there, and it was summertime. It was a hot night, and we're upstairs, and because it was so hot, and I had the bedroom windows were opened, and we had like around that corner there was some street lights were there, and I was sleeping, and something woke me up. It was a noise. It sounded like this is in the middle of the night. It sounded like a bunch of kids were playing outside, like there's a porch right below the windows. There's a porch there, and it sounded like a bunch of kids were playing on the porch in the yard near the road. And then I was thinking to myself, well, this is like late at night. What would kids be doing, playing there? And I was scared to get up and go and look, so I just kind of let it go, forget about it, fell back to sleep. And then the next morning I was having coffee with my sister Josephine. And then I told her what happened to me, and she told me or two that she, at the very same night, she had a dream also, and she dreamt there was a bunch of little people we were playing in the field where we used to play baseball. There was a bunch of little men, little people playing, and she said that was her dream. And when she woke up, her dream seemed so real, but she was too scared to look out the window to check if it was real or not real. So she dreamt about it, and I heard those people playing happened the same night. Yeah.
So I remember a couple more stories where like you were sleeping and you heard the dishes banging around downstairs, or you heard the rocking chair banging against the wall.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened one night. We were lying down in bed, and before we fall asleep, we always would just lie there and talked. And then, when someone gets up off of a rocking chair, the rocking chair like usually rocks, bangs. We could hear that rocking chair banging on the wall downstairs. That was pretty scary, pretty freaky. And then another time,
Don wasn't there.
Yeah, he was there because we were talking and we heard that noise. And then another time, Don used to always cover his feet up with the blanket, wrap his feet with the blanket, and I started teasing him. I said, "What's wrong? Why you do that?" He says, "Oh, because something's going to grab my feet." So I started laughing at him, and just as I laughed at him, something grabbed my foot. And when it grabbed my foot, it was cold, like it was a claw. It felt like a claw, and it grabbed my foot, and I got scared. That was freaky. And then back in the days too, like Tammy was a little girl that time. She was only 2-3 years old. Well, she was in school, kindergarten, so she must have been older. And she never
Remember, she always wanted
She never wanted to go upstairs, play upstairs in her room. Like she was afraid of upstairs. And even she would take a nap, it would be a nap on the couch downstairs. And she didn't like to come and sleep at their old house. Many times she always wanted to sleep at her grandmother's house. She didn't want to come sleep home because she said there's something upstairs. She always knew there was something there.
And what did she say to you, Mom? Can I sleep over? Tammy?
Oh, yeah. Come sleep over.
So that's my incident with the old house. And
What about when you heard somebody pissing up from upstairs? You said sounded like somebody was pissing from upstairs.
No. There's many nights I stayed alone there because Don was up at Desert Lake working. And that was just me and Tammy. And we used to hear all kind of noises downstairs. And at one point I was so scared. I thought it sounded like someone was in the house because the noise was too big for mice so it felt like there was a person in the house. And so I called the police. And the police did come and they did do a search around the yard, but they didn't find nothing.
So, does anybody want to tell the story about the guy who moved in after?
Leonard?
Yeah.
Well, I heard this, but maybe you could ask Jude. But I heard one time when he was living there, because he had a alcohol problem, and he was, I don't know, somebody came in, a visitor, and this guy was tall, and he had a big tall hat and a long trench coat. And he says to Leonard, "Can I come in?" So Leonard looks at him, but Leonard's by himself drinking. "Sure." And then the guy tells him, "Leonard, because I'm coming to take your soul, but the only way you could save your soul is you got to dance. You got to dance all night. And if you can outdance me, you're going to save your soul. But if you can't outdance me, I'm going to take your soul." And that was the devil. But that's one story I heard about that.
Didn't somebody walk in and see him dancing? And you're like, "What are you doing?"
Oh yeah, I don't know who. Okay, maybe it was his brother or his uncle. And he was dancing away.
He said to that person that came in was tall, dark, handsome, wearing a big black trench coat.
And a big tall hat.
Big tall hat.
You seen the movies there? Big.
So we got legends about this guy too with the tall hat and the long coat.
And nobody would want to tear down that house. They waited till it finally collapsed because they were afraid to disturb whatever was in that house. So it slowly fell down, eh?
It just collapsed like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then they tore it down.
So nobody wanted to go and disturb whatever was in there.
There was one summer we had like a big bad storm. It was almost like a tornado. And again, I was alone this time. think Tammy was in school, and I remember I had to run in the basement to take shelter. And when I did, I stayed on the stairs. But as I looked downstairs, there was a bunch of big tunnels in the sand because it was just sand in the basement. It was big tunnels. I don't know if it was snake tunnels or rat tunnels.
Ooh.
But they were big and they were all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah. Another story too. Like one night, Muggsy slept over too in the old house, and it seemed like we had the same dream. And this was reoccurring for maybe 2 weeks because she told me her dream and I told her my dream. And it was the same thing. Then a few days later I would tell her another dream and she had the same dream as I did. This happened like for about 2 weeks. Yeah.
Scary dream or just the same dreams?
They weren't really scary, but they were just same dreams.
Affecting your mind.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, energies.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess that's it for this episode of Tales from the Res. If you enjoyed these stories, stay tuned for another episode.